move up. Because like, this is going to sound weird, but like most people, when they go to a nice college that's easy, when they have parents that are like, everything is going to be taken care of, they're used to up here, they don't understand the harsh reality of life. Once you're here, you get grit, right? And like, I personally admire the level of grit you have and the growth that you've done over the past, what, like 2-3 years or something like that. It's very well done.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's, obviously I'm still really blessed, and like there's people that have gone through a lot worse, but I say it all the time. I think one of my like most watched videos on Instagram is a video where I was at an event speaking in front of like, I think it was like 80 or 90 people. And so I was like, what's the number one recommendation you have for entrepreneurs? And I just said, get used to eating shit. And I was just like, those who can eat the most amount of shit win, pretty much as it is. And what you had just said, to your credit, a lot of people that come in entrepreneurship who hadn't eaten any shit on their personal life, this is the first time they're tasting it. And they're like,
it's no good.
This doesn't taste that good. Whereas someone who's dealt with that stuff in their personal life is like, oh man, is there seconds? Can I have some more?
This tastes so much better than the shit that I used to.
At least this shit is money, right? This shit has money involved. So I am super grateful for that. But I appreciate it, man. It's been a long journey. I mean, shit, I remember we always joke on these lives, but like, the first time I joined your program, yours was the first program I ever joined, which was awesome. And Jesus, you had a lot of content in there. I still remember how much content was in there. And I remember like hopping on lives when I was in the gym, and you were like, are you at the gym? Like we'd be on like a Q&A call with like 20, 30 people. Like, are you at the gym right now? But I had to get it in,
That's fucking perfect. What I've learned is that like so many people are just not used to the reality of life. Like earlier today, I was on the phone with one of my clients who is bitching and moaning, complaining that our callback team has not called back this lead within like 15 minutes. And he's looking at it and he's timing us. I'm going, hey, I hear you loud and clear. Is there anything stopping you from closing this 25,000? Like, come on, like own your success. And I think the craziest part about all of this is like, we're always looking for the next shiny object or the next distracting thinking it's a success, but it's really like this internal transformation, which I think is what you've gone through, right? And the headline today is talking about like those transformations, like 100K a year, 100K a month, 100K a day. And for me, going and having like my first 100K day, I was so emotionally exhausted, I cried in the shower. Like it was just like so forced. And I was happy on the other side. Like it's like running a marathon, but you forget that you have to give yourself permission to like oomph all the way through and like just give up and say like, all right, I'm going to enjoy this journey. At the end of it, we'll talk. Right. So like, what was your journey and transformation like? Cause we've been working together since 0, right? What was like 0 to 100K? What's your brain like? And how's that different from, the 100K a year to 100K a month for you? What does that look like?
Yeah, great question. So it's really interesting. And I did a video on this for my inner circle that is like one of the most popular videos in my inner circle. But it was, I literally got an iPad out, and it was the first 100K day I ever had. And it was literally, that's why I came up with a headline like that, because I was like, I've already done this. I know what it is. But the 100K a year was harsh. And the mindset behind the 100K a year was kind of what you were talking about earlier, which you'd brushed over, but it was like that shiny object syndrome, right?
Yep.
I was trying to be everything to everybody. I was doing e-commerce and I was doing an advertising agency at the same time.
Yep.
I'm like losing money in the e-commerce game. And at the same time, I am making money in the advertising agency. So I'm taking money from the advertising agency, losing it in the e-commerce business, losing it in the e-commerce business. And I'm like, what am I doing right now? This doesn't make any sense. So I essentially decided to stop that and focus just on advertising. And then the idea was like, okay, I'll do real estate, I'll do dentists, I'll do, chiropractors, I'll do doctors. And then that kind of whittled down into just real estate. And so from zero, I think from zero to even like first few $1 million, I mean, even it's still the name of the game today is focus. So like just massive focus. We'll talk about it at the end, but I'm doing that event and I'm like writing out the slides. And the first slide I have, I'm writing right now is pretty much like, if you guys want to know the number one thing to be successful is just do one thing long past everybody else is done doing it. Yep. And I think that's really, really massive. But so 0 to 100K a year was me just getting my bearings, to be honest with you. There's no like real insights to be gained there. The biggest thing I guess I'd say is that I just saw other people making a lot of money. That's why I like mastermind communities, because I could see other people like you and other people inside of the, agency scaling secrets inner circle. I could see them like making $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a month. And so I'm like, cool, like I can do it. Jeff's not that different, maybe a little bit more handsome, but other than that, he's not that much different than me. And so I'm like, I can do that. So 0 to 100K was mostly me figuring out, okay, just keep with it. Like things will eventually like figure themselves out. A lot of trial and error, a lot of difficulty. And it wasn't a lot of fun. I didn't have a lot of fun in the first beginning. It wasn't the sexy entrepreneurship that everybody talks about. It was not that, which is why I think a lot of people quit. And then from that to 100K a month, that's totally different. That was when it was like, a lot of leaps and bounds had to happen. And for me, obviously we talk about it in scaling with systems, but a lot of it had to do with hiring. So like you can do $100,000 a month by yourself, but it kind of might look like what you had just talked about a second ago, which was, you're crying in the shower. Yeah. Like you could definitely do it by yourself, but instead of doing that, if you just give a little bit of your money away and put it into your business by investing in a team member, you could probably not be crying and still make $100,000 a month. I was doing, if I look back at it, I was doing around $30,000 to $50,000 a month by myself, totally by myself, lead generation, sales, ads, fulfillment, account manager, everything. Yeah. And it was definitely a lot. And I was stuck at that stage for a while until I hired my first virtual assistant, Mel Jane, who I still have with me today, which everybody knows. I think Mel Jane, who I still have with me today. And I just put her on prospecting. And one of the biggest differences from 0 to 100 a year to 100 a month was the focus on sales and setting appointments and taking appointments. That just became like my life. I mean, I had it tattooed on my forehead, and every day I woke up, if someone in my company wasn't doing one of those two things, something was really broken inside of my business. Like whether it was my VA setting appointments and me taking appointments, or it was me setting appointments and taking appointments. But the name of the game in the very beginning was literally just getting on the phone with as many people as possible and making as many offers as possible, which is why we did cold email, cold LinkedIn messages, whatever else it is. But a lot of people, they just, I think the issue that a lot of people have, and I'm generalizing this, but I've worked with over 1,500 entrepreneurs right now, is that number one, they focus on the wrong stuff in the very beginning. So they're more focused on like, hey, how do I have the best logos, or how do I have the best website, or hey, what is this person doing? What's that person doing? What's this person doing? Jeff told me to do this. Ravi told me to do this. This person over here told me to do this. This person over here told me to do this. I'm going to do everything at once, right? So the way that I usually boil it down is a feedback loop. So I like to say, hey, choose one thing, take some action on it, have enough time where you can get a reaction from the marketplace, and then adjust accordingly. So cold email, send it out. Do you get any responses? Adjust it. Facebook ads, spend some money. What's the click-through rate? What's the cost per lead? Adjust, whatever else it is. But most people, they're doing 10 things at once, and they're not tracking any of it, so they don't know what is happening anywhere. So a lot of the stuff from like the $100,000 a year to $100,000 a month just came to the setting and taking appointments, team building, and then tracking a lot of the numbers so I could focus what my energy was going towards.
The craziest part, like looking back and having this intense level of like reflection on like your journey and my journey, and people that like make it, like what they're doing, right? They have this really intense sense of self-awareness. Like, what am I doing and why am I doing this? Like they're looking at like, okay, I just sent out like 5 cold emails and my brain is freaking out because nobody said yes. Why is that happening? There's no reason for my brain to say that. Let's jump into 500 or 5,000. Let's get that critical mass. And the people that don't have that level of self-reflection or self-awareness, they go to the gym once and say, why don't I have a 6-pack? And the people that have a 6-pack say, you should be doing it for 6 to 8 weeks minimum. And then say, why don't you have a 6-pack, and make that small adjustment and then wait another 6 to 8 weeks. And I see that really with like myself when I let Facebook and YouTube and Reddit and Google News take over my feelings. Like, that like addiction machine we're sitting in front of, right? Like this is the opposite of focus. Like how many windows do I have right now? 45, right? But I think you talked about this and Tony Robbins talked about it, like no addiction, no distraction, only focus until like, you don't turn your phone on until noon or something like that. Is that right?
Yeah, I stopped, and I was having this conversation yesterday with my initiative members, but yeah, I think my number one recommendation I always give to anybody who has that inability to focus is like, number one, you had just named it. Like this little guy right here is going to be the end of like, all of you can't have this and run a business actually successfully, right? You can do what most people do, which is they go on there and they post on their Instagram, they get a bunch of likes. That literally scientifically gives you a dopamine hit. You think you're being productive, but in reality, nothing's happening. There's literally zero productivity going on. So one of the biggest recommendations I have for people is like literally, I know I have this on me right now because it's after 12 o'clock, but I turned this on do not disturb. I turned off all notifications on here. I have 0 notifications on my phone ever. No calls, no text, no Slack, no Facebook, no Instagram. That's the bare minimum you should do. But on top of it, I sit down on my computer and I don't open any of my channels until 12 o'clock. We call it the one thing. And I just sit there. A lot of the times right now in my business, it is scripting and shooting YouTube videos, which is really hard to do. It seems like it's easy to do, but it's really not that easy to do. So scripting and shooting YouTube videos, or it could be like looking at KPIs or hiring team members or dealing with stuff that I really don't want to do. And I can easily get distracted because I know once I open up Slack or open up Facebook, whatever it is, I did not lift my head for 4 hours. Like, right. I really wasn't getting anything done. I was just treading water. So, if you're watching this right now and you're having a hard time focusing, and Alex Becker has a great YouTube series on dopamine detox, which I'd recommend people check out. But if you're having a hard time focusing, it's probably because your brain's being trained to like TikTok videos every 5 seconds and be on the next. I deleted TikTok like within 7 days of downloading because I was like, I could not put it down. I mean, it was a real addiction on TikTok. I had to delete it because I could not put it down. And, I don't have a crazy following online, but, I have a few 100,000 followers across all my platforms and I still do this stuff. So and I honestly delegate out some of this stuff to my team because I'm like, I can't be focused on it. So you're 100% right. Like I said earlier, the name of the game is focus. And this thing in your hand right here is preventing you from focusing. And then you add in the fact that once you start making $100,000 a month, you don't really have any difficulty getting a lot of the things that you want, right? Obviously, like if I wanted to buy a jet, it's a little bit harder to do, but like, I could still fly private if I wanted to. And so then it becomes easier to be like, oh, cool, let me get validation online and post on my Facebook or my Instagram or whatever else it is. And then it's just this like really, really negative feedback loop. So I totally removed a lot of that stuff from my life. That's a great point.
With 0 to 100K, did you find like one of the reasons why you didn't get, that first tier to the second tier fast? Was it the addiction thing, the non-focus thing? Like this is stopping people from achieving their goals type of thing, right?
Yeah, I say that in that video that I was talking about earlier, but I was really more focused on looking successful than actually being successful. Like I was really more worried about the people in my life thinking that I was a successful entrepreneur than about me actually being a successful entrepreneur. Like once I became the really successful, I'm not really successful, but once I started making some money, like I started like being like, okay, I actually don't want to show everybody this because then everybody calls me is like, hey, can I have a loan? Or can you buy this for me? Can you buy that for me? Whatever else it is. But yeah, that's a killer point was that in the very beginning, I was very distracted, not just in my business, but in my personal life. And one of the things I do daily now, and I write it in my journal every single morning is that time is precious and I monitor how I use it. And so like, I have a personal assistant now that comes to my house multiple days a week. She does my laundry, cooking, clothes, cleans up my house. I've delegated like car washing. I've done, if I'm just not literally working on myself or working on my business, I have to give it to somebody else because it's really easy to fall into those distractions. And then it would be asinine for me to be like, yeah, I'm the successful business person. Let me delegate all this stuff out. And then with all this free time, I'm just scrolling through Instagram or, watching YouTube videos. It's just like, that's not how you grow.
I would honestly recommend for everybody watching this video to do what is this right here. This is your phone box. When I'm working, my phone goes in my phone box, right?
Does it stay right there or does it go somewhere else?
It just stays right there.
Oh,
right?
That's impressive. I'd have to leave mine in another room and close the door.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Do not disturb. It's still on, but it doesn't ring. It goes in the phone box. And it's just far enough away. Like you can't grab it. You have to get up out of your chair or off your walking treadmill, and then you have to go get it. That, by the way, is just enough for that self-awareness kick and go, what the hell do you think you're doing?
Yeah.
Like there is no advantage in getting stuck into that Facebook, YouTube, TikTok addiction engine because that's what keeps you at 0 to 100K. Like everyone is running around town saying it's like, oh, I need this magical ad, or I need to have this. I know how to do A/B tests, or oh my God, if I just did this, it's like, nah, not really. Most people can make $100,000 a year simply by having a little bit more focus and a little bit more skill and a little bit more prospecting. Is that right?
Yeah, and we're getting relatively close to the $1 million a month mark, and so like for us, we're starting to focus like when I talk to the people that are at the $1 million a month mark, it's like, you don't even talk to those people, right? Like you can't even find them online. They have teams literally like it's unbelievable the level of protectiveness that they have on their energy. And so we're talking a lot about it, but it's just super important. And it's just that like you can't, and you described it well. The thing that you talked about there, having right there, it's called activation energy. So how much is required? It's a term in science, but how much is required for this catalyst to happen? So for you to actually go over there and get your phone, you would literally have to like maybe put your headphones down, walk over there and get it. And human beings are so mother effing lazy that they're not even willing to do that. Like it's crazy. They're not even willing to do that. And so you start paying attention to, okay, most of the world is just everyone is fighting for attention, right? Those apps are fighting for attention. Technically, Jeff and I are fighting for your attention right now, right? Everybody is fighting for attention. So if you try to think like I originally did, which was like, no, I'm this like, self-proclaimed, like, disciplined person. And I'm like, oh, I can have my phone with me, but I won't be using it. And the next thing I know, I'm like fucking aimlessly scrolling like an idiot on Instagram. And so you have to understand that a lot of these people are smarter than you. Like these are literally in the lab scientists trying to figure out how to distract you. And so some of the things that I did is turned off all notifications, put this in another room. Another thing that I loved is Facebook newsfeed eradicator. So I removed everybody. I haven't seen the Facebook newsfeed in years. I mean, legitimately years. 3 years now I haven't seen the Facebook newsfeed when I go to Facebook. The other thing I did is I have 150,000 followers. I only follow 40 people on Instagram. So like I really lowered. I can go through when I go like this on my Instagram feed. Within 3 things, it's done. It's back. Yeah, it's literally back to yesterday. And then there's another extension for YouTube, which does the same thing as the Facebook one. So now when I'm doing all these YouTube videos, it started kind of replacing my distraction that was on Facebook, which was like, you go to the YouTube homepage and then boom, there's a thumbnail that the YouTube algorithm knows you're going to click on. They know you're going to click on it. And so they have this cool thing on the Chrome extension. I'll try to remember what it is, but I'm sure you can Google it, where it takes away the home screen and suggested videos. And now all of a sudden it's like, cool. And so it seems extreme, guys. It really does. But if you actually have self-awareness, I promise you're not strong enough. Like, 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there. You watch something really good. Next thing you know, it's 45 minutes later. You haven't done any setting appointments, any taking appointments.
Yeah. So this brings up my next part, which is the difference between from 0 to 100K a year and 0 to 100K a month, which is simply like here's just focus, prospect a little bit more, have a good time. Honestly, like it's almost never a fulfillment problem. That's what your brain is telling you. It's usually a prospecting problem. At the 100K a month mark, what are the problems that you're having there? It's like systems, team, delegation, refining of an offer, bottlenecks and bumps in the roads. Is that about right? At this level, those are the problems. Is that correct?
Yeah, most likely. I mean, you definitely start getting into the service delivery part, which is why a lot of people switch from like, the one-to-one to a one-to-many concept, or, you switch from being a general contractor, helping every single person that has a credit card to like, hey, we only help these people. So that way you can delegate it out to somebody, right? And that's a really important part to focus on as well. Not only is it good to niche down so you can prospect and acquire customers more, but it's also you can get better results for your clients. And you don't have to pay so much for those results. Like if you are an advertising agency, if you actually look at creative agencies in New York and London and all that, they run at 5 to 8% profit margins because they take on anybody that clients that's going to pay them. And sure, they have $100,000 retainers, but because it's all this random custom work for everybody, they have to have $100,000 a year graphic designer, $200,000 a year media buyer, because everyone has to have the know-how in order to be like, okay, this is a custom problem. Let's give them a custom solution versus these really lean business models, which you know about, which we help our clients build scalable systems where it's like, hey, for my real estate advertising agency, we just had a virtual assistant literally copy and paste a campaign inside of Facebook Ads Manager. Literally, I had a campaign called Master Real Estate Campaign. Copy 300 campaigns running in one ad. Now, this was before Facebook started getting real crazy. I don't know if I'd recommend it now, but 300 campaigns in one ad manager. They just copy and pasted. My VAs literally just managed the actual ads themselves. So it was like, hey, if the cost per lead gets above $10, then do a new image. And I just did an SOP for it. And so I'm making $150,000 a month working just with virtual assistants, 2 virtual assistants, which means that my profit margin was like 95%, right? If you take all my software, all that other stuff out there. So yeah, a lot of that at that point, if you ever want to be able to go above $100,000 a month, then it really does become a lot of its fulfillment and service in the back end. And then it becomes how complicated is your fulfillment and service, because a lot of people love to brag about revenue. Like I know certain people that are like, and you and I have talked about this at dinner the other night, I think, about certain people who are like, I make $1 million a month or $500,000 a month. And by the way, everybody here knows when I say I'm getting near the $1 million a month mark, I'm talking about cash collected, like literally money in my bank account. I've done the $1 million in revenue. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about cash collected in my bank account, $1 million. And so that's the thing, that when I'm talking about $100,000 a month, I'm talking about literally you're collecting that amount of money from people, which means you're servicing, at least 10 new clients every single month if you're at $10,000 a month, if not more. And so in order to do that, you have to have really systemized ops and fulfillment, or you're going to have to be hiring these like $80,000, $100,000, $150,000 a year employees, which aren't bad. But it just, the one thing I tell every single one of my clients is that your profit margins will never increase as you scale. It will never. People are like, okay, like I'm going to wait till we hit network effect. And once I have 300 clients, then I'll be able to make a lot more money. Like if anything, it's only just going to be decreasing as you go up. There's this disproportionate thing of revenue and profits, a number of clients and profits. And so you just need to be aware of that. So you should try to guard your profits as much as you can in the beginning and build up systems so that you can service your clients with as much simplicity as possible, because simple scales. And then if you needed to later on, like my first real bigger hire was Raj, who a lot of people in here know as well. He's an awesome guy. He obviously makes good money inside of scaling systems, but he had come on board. We had hundreds of clients already, and I was servicing at that. And then on top of it, I was using Raj's brain power to do really great things inside the company, instead of like things that a virtual assistant could do, which is the other mistake I see people do, is having great talent do virtual assistant tasks, when in reality, you should have them be doing great tasks and like solving $1 million problems for you versus solving $3 an hour problems for you.
So that sentence, I think, is massively key. Like we all have great talent, great value, stuff that could do really, really good stuff. And there you are spending days, weeks, months, or years trying to figure out the exact right email to send out to clients that have not ever heard from you at all whatsoever. Just send it. Just send 500 of them, 1,000, 5,000. Let them call you back and say, because that response, that feedback, that's proof that you're using your higher level brain for higher level tasks. What happens, by the way, is when somebody is not confident, they don't know what they're doing, there's a lot of complications, they haven't figured out their single way of working, their brain says this is complicated. I need someone that understands complicated. That is incorrect. You need to make it simple. Like if simple didn't work, you didn't make simple work. It needs to be like near copy and paste, and then stuff works. In the beginning, your brain, and this is for everybody watching, will not accept that fact. You aren't there, you're gonna eat shit, and it's gonna be complicated and difficult, and then one day you'll be like, God, this is so simple, I don't know why I'm making it hard. And then that's part of like that key transformation where you look at the world and like, everything has a rule. I'm going to figure out the rules of the universe and play by them. And one of them is simple works. And I'm going to make a fuck ton of money because of it. Now, 0 to 100K a year, 0 to 100K a month. So let's talk about your 100K day. For me, that was my first in-person event. That's where I sold my first 10K package. Andrew Cruzy helped me out. Becker helped me out. Steph helped me out. It was really, really cool because these are people that already know, like, and trusted me. It was like, look, if you want to work further one-on-one and do more stuff, it's just going to cost you money. Let's go. And a lot of people were like, okay. And that broke my brain because that was my 4-minute mile. There was no way that was possible until Nick Robbins did that. And I was like, if Nick can do it, I can do it. So what is it like doing that 100K a day? What was that conversation like? What was that brain trash like? What was that empowerment like? Like what was going on? Because I think your first 100K a day was a year ago, 2 years ago, something like that.
It was about a year ago. It was like, it was May of 2021 or 2020 actually. So and this is like obviously in the midst of a pandemic as well, right? Which was pretty crazy to me. So $100,000 cash collected was about a year ago as well. And I actually didn't realize it happened until a few days later. It wasn't until like I did the math together and I was like, oh wow, we did $100,000 in this one day. It happened to fall upon it. Now we've done it probably 24 times since then. So it's not like I'm not bragging, but it becomes more commonplace. But a few things that happen. Number one, you think that it's like this, like it's going to happen. And then like balloons are going to explode everywhere. And like your mom's going to call you and like, yes. Like, so everyone's like always like, all right, I need to get a $50,000 a month. I need to get $100,000 a month. I need to do $100,000 a day. And it sounds cheesy, but like nothing changes. Like I said earlier, like once you're making above, I don't know, let's just say $50,000 a month, like your lifestyle is not going to change a whole lot. Right. So it's like, and that point, it just becomes the game, right? It's just like, I play this for the game at this point. I just love this. I love learning. I love competing. So for me, that's one of the main reasons I continue to do it. And obviously I love serving, but for the $100,000 a day thing, like I said, I didn't really realize I did it the first time. And then after that, I noticed that we did it. I think for me, I didn't really have that moment that you did, where it was like, holy shit, like, I can't believe this, like in the shower crying, because we have a whole team now running it. And I write almost every single day in my journal. I write gratitude. And almost every single day, I write about how grateful I am for the team that I have, because like I would not be able to do any of this stuff without this team, right? Like, so I could have a few sales reps close a few deals. We got a person join the initiative. And then, that's not even including my advertising agency. All of a sudden, it's $100,000 day, right? Cash collected. So I think one of the biggest brain trash things is thinking that like you have to have this totally different, everything has to be different to hit $100,000 a day. And realistically speaking, between $100,000 a month and $100,000 a day, you probably won't have a whole lot difference. I do think there's different stages in business, but if you have made it to $100,000 a month and you're not like going to kill yourself because you actually have good systems in place, then the $100,000 a day isn't that different. Usually you just need to add in time and you need to add in more prospecting. And the first one of those two things is just something that no one talks about, including me. Just because like if I was like, hey, join Scaling Systems, work with me and you'll make $1 million like in the next like 18 months, then it's like I don't really know if I want to do this, right? Like because everybody wants like the 6-minute dinner and the 90-minute abs. And so one of the things that I continuously have to remind myself, like when I wasn't hitting the $100,000 a day, and if you're listening to this and you're trying to get to the $100,000 a month, it's just some people forget to add in the concept of time. Like it's just like it's super simple. But it's okay if it takes a little bit longer. I guarantee you it. My first 8 months in business, I did $3,000 total revenue. Like so it is okay. It just takes a little bit more time. Now, obviously you can do things to speed up that process, like working with people who've been there before, or, doing more prospecting, whatever else it is. But like I said in the very beginning, if you just don't quit, it'll eventually happen, which is why I know that I'm eventually going to do $1 million in a day. There's no doubt about it in my mind that I'm eventually going to do it. And now I know like, okay, cool. It'll happen. And that'll be awesome. And then it'll be over after that. And it's just straight back to work.
I was talking with Becker, who did my event. I think Becker's doing yours event. I'm so like mind blown about like how he's like progressing up and up. And he asked me this question, like, Jeff, like when you do like $100,000 a day, like where are you going? I was like, home.
Yeah.
He's like, no. Like, yeah, man. It's like, it's got to be treated as like a normal up and down, because what happens, and this is for everybody watching, like this is going to be your life, like revenue and problems and all that. And when you overemphasize up here, the natural reaction is to overemphasize down here. So if you just smooth these out, everything becomes a lot easier. It's not that big of a deal. We lost a client, no big deal. Oh my God, we just made $3,000. Not that big of a deal. Like stuff smooths out, and then your emotions and your process and your progress just flat out work. And you don't get stuck on like the red dots that come up. You learn not to be triggered, and that really, really helps. So you mentioned something really, really interesting, which is at one point you had your real estate agency, and it was a copy and paste. Oh my God, this is perfect. I'm printing a Lamborghini every 6 weeks. Cool. And then I remember I tried messaging you, and then your profile was banned. And then I had to call you, and you're like, yeah, my profile is banned. And I'm like, man, that's got to be like a fucking stressful event. Like, you literally have your entire line of business with one source of fulfillment, one source of ads, leads, which is Facebook. And then overnight, it disappeared. Is that correct?
Yeah. And it was like an eye-opening experience for me. And you and I were having conversation. I dropped off the face of the earth. And then ironically, you and I were having another conversation. And I finally got at least my Facebook profile back. If you remember, I was on the phone. I was like, yeah, Jeff Miller, you're good luck. I was like, you're good luck. But yeah, so on to the second point there, as far as the Facebook is concerned, one of the biggest mistakes I learned, and I tell my clients, is not to be platform dependent, right? So one of my good friends runs a SaaS company, software as a service, runs a LinkedIn automation company. They're doing well over $700,000 a month. when LinkedIn just changed their algorithm, which happened about 30 days ago, in case anyone here is using the automation and you're like, why is it not working anymore? It almost put him out of business. He dropped down to $50,000 a month and almost instantly, like 85-90% of his revenue gone within 2 weeks, right? And that's because he's massively platform dependent. And that was my lesson that I learned in building my first business, was that I was so dependent on Facebook. My lead generation was on Facebook. My content was on Facebook. And my ads to acquire clients were on Facebook, and my ads for my clients were on Facebook. And I love Facebook. Don't get me wrong. We're on it right now. I have a Facebook group. I make plenty of money from Facebook. I'm not knocking Facebook. But what I am saying is, if something happens, which did happen to me, which was actually twofold. Number one, I took a private jet with the other Jeff to Utah, and I logged into Facebook in San Diego. Then I logged into Facebook in Utah later on that day, and that locked me out of my personal profile. And it was like glitching, so I couldn't verify my identity on there. And then within the same week, they shut down my business ad account as well. So I think it was a targeted strike towards me, to be honest with you. So,
and by the way, those ads still run, even though you can't access
them. That was the thing. They're still running. My ads. Now, thank God I'm excellent at advertising, so we were still within KPIs. But they were still spending, Facebook's like, hey, you can't touch this, but we will continue to spend your money, right? So, and my credit card was attached to like 30 different vendors, so I didn't want to cancel it. So, long story short, it was a CF, if you know what that is. And I was like, oh my God, like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I actually eventually got my personal profile back on Facebook, but I have not run Facebook ads in 2 years now. I've not run Facebook ads under my profile in 2 years. I have a ban on Facebook on it. And most people, if you say they can't run ads on Facebook, it's a nail in the coffin. It's literally a death sentence for them. But we go back to that kind of eating shit that you and I talked about at the very beginning of this. And I was like, okay, cool. So we were doing, like, in my advertising agency, a few $100,000 a month. My coaching program was starting to get launched off the ground at that point. So I'm doing almost $500,000 a month. All disappeared almost overnight, right?
Yeah.
And so immediately I'm like scrambling to try to fix it. But that was my first taste of like being platform dependent. And that started opening my eyes as far as like, okay, what are real assets inside of a business? Well, real assets, number one, is like emails, right? So an example was I used to just generate client leads, like try to acquire new agency clients, but I would send them straight to a video sales letter without an opt-in page, because I was like, hey, I don't want to have to add any friction. I just wanted to watch my sales letter book at a time, except for, if it converts at 5%, then you're only getting 5 emails that book a time with you out of the 100 people that you're paying to visit your page every single day. So I started looking at like, what can I do to build some real assets? And that's when I started looking into building an email list, which I have a 60,000 person email list right now. I started looking at diversifying my traffic. So I actually don't run, my advertising agency runs 0 ads on Facebook right now. I mean, it's like guaranteed if we touch it, like it's gone tomorrow. So we run all on YouTube. We're almost at $700,000 a month in ad spend on YouTube right now for my advertising agency in the PPL game. I started building a YouTube channel as well, because I'm like, okay, Facebook's too volatile. Let me have a YouTube channel, all while I built a Facebook group at the same time. And I started building, like, call me crazy, like blogs, so I could start ranking on Google as well, so I could have assets there also. And so, yeah, the biggest mistake that ever happened to me, the biggest lesson I ever learned, like the thing that almost cost me everything, was getting banned off Facebook. But the cool thing was that I was, out of our group of entrepreneurs, our friends, I was really one of the first people that I know of to have the real hammer ban come down, where it's like, you are not ever running an ad again. If I ever see your face, we're shutting you down immediately. I was like one of the first people to see that. My competition's negative, spend more and more money, and whether I think it's fair or not, that's the way the game is going. And but because I was the first one to do it, I was the first one to adapt instead of holding my cards. And that's why I have a YouTube channel with 10,000 subs that makes us, a few $100,000 a month just from YouTube, from bringing in new business every single month, right? And then I have my email list that's grown quite a bit as well, and my blogs I've been putting out content on. I've been getting on podcasts now. So I used to just I was in this lane where I thought Facebook was the only way to make money because that's what everybody talked about. And then after that got cut off, I was like, all right, well, let's see what the other options are. I invested in some other coaching programs, whatever else it is. And now I have a really, we call it a weather the storm portfolio, right? That's what Ray Dalio calls it, where it's like, if Facebook were to shut down, if YouTube shut me down, I have other channels as well. And so a lot of people watching this are not even going to be like, they're like, oh yeah, that's a good lesson. And they're not even going to do anything about it, right? Because the pain's not great enough. But wait until you get slapped in Facebook and you get banned. And then you're like, oh, that Ravi guy was right. You know what I mean?
That happened to us. I got baby banned when I was I was presenting at Ross's
baby band.
Tampa. Yeah, baby band. Like, I was banned for like 72 hours. And the way I got banned is that they just removed everything.
Wow.
My personal profile did not exist. My messenger did not exist. I disappeared from this group. Like there was no intro post. Everything was gone.
I remember that. I do remember that. Yeah.
Removed from the internet, right? And I set up a second profile and I was like, hey, no, this is really Jeff. And then all my friends reported it. I was like, no. I couldn't access nothing and I got banned for 72 hours. But that pain wasn't enough, right? I just had to wait it out. All right, I'll take a mini vacation. Then my business partner got banned. And then all the accounts she was running got banned.
Oh my God.
It was a typo. It was an oopsie days. I was like, Facebook, that's the sign. That's what's going on. And since then, we've diversified. We're experimenting with AdWords, YouTube ads, Google My Business, reactivation campaigns to spread the love and have different fulfillment or ways of fulfilling. Because Facebook will always have its ups and downs. And you know what happens is we always end up making excuses. We're like, you know what? It's the algorithm today. No, there's Super Bowl. It's the political election. That's not acceptable anymore. Like you just would it be okay if FP&L was like, hey, sorry, there's bad weather? No, that's not okay, right? And if you really want to run your business as reliable and dependable, you can't rely and depend on an unreliable and undependable source. And I believe Facebook for local lead gen and even in the pay-per lead game is not as dependable as we grew up, as we remember it. I know that Google is now trying to be massively competitive.
Yeah.
And I should just put my business, and everybody on here should put their business in a position of saying we should take advantage of that competition. And so now we're experimenting with YouTube ads, AdWords. We're doing emergency campaigns and we're doing all sorts of fun stuff.
I remember you and I talking about that at dinner. Yeah, the emergency campaigns.
Yeah, and it works. And we're just part of my brain is going, what if we just stopped doing Facebook? What if we went all the way over here? What would happen? And now we're experimenting with that. We don't do turn off. We'll do 10% at a time. But from what I'm hearing, you getting kicked off Facebook was probably one of the better things that happened. Is that right?
Yeah. And it's also, a lot of people may not be thinking of this, but it's also there's a great book called Built to Sell, which I always recommend people read. But you should always build a company like you were going to sell it, because first of all, you want that option later on in case you ever want to do it. And second of all, if it's built to sell, that means it has to have value to somebody else, which means that it's intrinsically valuable, which means you're going to build a great business. And so the other thing is that I've actually spoken to one of my business coaches. He's exited 2 companies for 9 figures. And when I started talking about my profit margins and all these things going on, 2 things that he brought to my attention right away, which just slapped me. I thought I was hot shit. And then, he did his job and just slapped me in the face. This was back really when I was mostly on Facebook. And he said, number one, over 70% of your new clients are coming from paid ads, right? Mm-hmm. So all your new business is coming in from putting in money and getting out money, which is not terrible, except for, like we just said, what happens if that source goes away? What happens if that dries up? That is a red flag for someone trying to acquire your business, that all of it's coming there, right? So that was number one. And number 2 was just that kind of on the same side of that was that we were all on one platform to also service our clients on the app. Yep. So not only our acquiring was on Facebook, but our fulfillment was on Facebook. And so he brought up the same question. And I was like, damn. And so then we really started, that's why I started getting on podcasts. I started creating a YouTube channel. I started trying to do weekly emails. And there's so many other benefits that are attributed to that as well. Before, for example, my cost per acquisition for scaling with systems was a few $1,000s to acquire someone. Now, even though it's a more expensive program than it was 2 years ago, it's less than $1,000 because a lot of our ad cost is cut in half because of all the different content that we bring people in. YouTube's bringing in a bunch of new clients for us, which we're not even paying for. So it actually makes your business more sturdy, more sound. And once again, everyone's like, I'd rather just pay money. And I know plenty of gurus doing 8 figures that if they lost their Facebook account, they would shit their pants. There's nothing that they would do. And do I think that I would be, at the $1 million a month faster if I had Facebook ads? I'll be honest with you. I probably do think I would. But I also know I'd rather have learned it at $100,000 a month, $100,000 to $300,000 a month and adjust at that level than to have all the expenses and team and everything of $1 million a month company. And all of a sudden we just lose our main traffic source. That's a lot scarier. So sometimes you think that you're getting gypped, but it's maybe obviously working in your favor.
Like if you're gonna get hit fast and get hit small, so you learn how to block.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. That's awesome. Well said.
Yeah. So is that stuff you're bringing into your upcoming in-person event? Because I know you rented out, I think, the most expensive part of South Beach on the most expensive roof of South Beach. Like I've been there. I'm like, I know that's expensive. But you got 200 plus people coming up. Is that what you're talking about in your event, or what does that look like for you?
Yeah. So like you had said, you shout out to Iconic. You brought him up earlier. Yeah, you know, that guy likes to spend money. I'll tell you that. I had a call with him yesterday, and I messaged him on Facebook, and I was like, hey, first thing I want to talk about on this call is how we doubled our budget that I told you in the very beginning what I wanted to do. And we hopped on and they actually walked through it, and it was like I wasn't angry because it is going to be kick ass. So we're spending like almost $160,000 for the venue for 2 days, 3 days, and it's going to be fucking awesome. I'm so super stoked. Yeah, you know where it is. It's going to be a blast. But these are exactly some of the things that we're talking about here. So we have people coming in that are just starting, and then we have people coming in doing, you know, a few 8 figures a year. So it's going to be a variety of different things. But mostly we are talking about a lot of the stuff that I'm talking about here. I'm talking about YouTube organic. I'm talking about YouTube paid ads. Like, you know, even when I'm talking to Iconic yesterday, he's showing me some of the other clients he's worked with, some of their events. And I'm not going to mention a certain person's name that has another event in Miami, you know, every single year. There's an X in it. But like I've been to those, and it's just a pitch fest, right? You're just like, you're literally every person, you're in a webinar. You're in a full day of 10 different webinars. And you're like, you know, I didn't really learn much from this. They made a lot of money. I didn't really learn much from this. So like I purposely yesterday on the call was like, hey, I did an event 2 years ago in San Diego. It was awesome. We sold out in 24 hours. It was like 70 people. And it was only my clients, and we just purely gave value the entire time, right? That was like all that was there. And then at the end, the people that wanted to work with me just came up to me and was like, hey, what do I do for the next step? And so that's the plan at this event. You know, we have a networking dinner on Thursday night. We're going to have a bunch of exotic cars. There's going to be an open bar. We're going to be walking around, meeting a bunch of people, networking. And then Friday, Saturday, full day, literally from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Like I said, the cars, it's over on Miami Beach, on the water. You can see the bay. You can see downtown Miami, which is beautiful, open air. And we're going to be talking about pretty much finding product market fit, creating assets like sales letters and advertisements, and, you know, copywriting skills. And then we're going to be talking about virtual assistants, hiring a team, like, you know, back-end fulfillment sales guys, how to ramp them up. And then we're going to be talking about a lot of the organic strategies I was talking about a second ago. So YouTube organic, diversifying. And the final thing we'll end on, which is something that, you know, is really random here, but probably a question I get every single day is like wealth preservation and like investing, right? So like crypto, you know, I have a multi-7-figure crypto portfolio, right? Real estate, stocks, what are you doing with your money? And that's some of the stuff I leave for my clients that pay me like $50,000, but I'm going to be giving it literally all away at this event.
Absolutely love it. So what I've heard is that you've got 2 more tickets left. Is that right? I
do have literally no scarcity involved whatsoever because of COVID. We can only have a certain amount of people there, and we legitimately have 2. I don't even think we have any VIP left, just 2 tickets left.
So for everybody watching, I'm going. I know that people who are like much bigger than me are going. I know people that are much smaller than me are going. Because honestly, we just need our brains broken. And the easiest way to do that is actually to sit with proximity next to and just like see and touch and be like, okay, if that person can do it, I can do it. And so when you think about like the 12 months of learning you could do like an online or a course or coaching program, it's like 12 hours of learning. It's the same exact experience when it comes to an in-person event. And Ravi, I think you've got something that you're willing to like to incentivize somebody's like that's on the fence, like, all right, just come on and do it. Is that correct?
Yeah. So just like Jeff had said a second ago, all of someone asked, I saw in the questions here, like, how do you meet people like my roommates that I had before? You know, the people that I spent all my time with, they're all from masterminds, all from in-person masterminds. I've met this Jeff at an in-person mastermind. I went to his events, you know, a few years ago. It was awesome in Atlanta. Yeah, it was a blast. I met Andrew there. I met a bunch of other people that I'm really close friends with. And if you're looking for a place to like meet people and network and become really close, then it's going to be at a mastermind event. And it's going to be at a mastermind event that is in a cool location. There's an awesome networking opportunity. And like, if you vibe with Jeff, you vibe with me, then like, you're going to vibe with the people that are there because you attract who you are. Right. So just be aware of that. You want to be around people like that. But like Jeff said, we have 2 tickets left, and we were like spitballing beforehand. How are we going to do this to like incentivize literally just 2 people to do it? And since it's only 2 people, what I do want to offer is that whoever gets their ticket, right? So I'm going to tell you guys how to get the ticket right here in a second, but whoever gets their ticket, I will offer you a one-on-one consultation with each of you. of my time, which is I charge $4,000 for an hour of my time. I'm going to offer you each a one-on-one consultation after the event is over to 100% make sure that you get everything you need to pretty much do what we talk about the event, to actually take the action steps. Because not only is the networking there, but the other issue with it is that you have so much information, then you go implement the information, and then there's issues that pop up, and you're like, oh, what do I do here, right? Well, this is literally where we're going to sit down 4 weeks after you're done with the event, and I'm going to see everything that you've done up until that point since we did the event, and I'm going to give you a roadmap moving forward for the next 12 months. So like I said, it's $4,000. I'm going to throw it into all the other crazy shit we're doing at the event, and it's going to be for the 2 people that buy their ticket. So if you guys want it, you go to mastermind.scalingwithsystems.com. And if one of my team members is on this, they can drop the link in the comments down below, but it's mastermind.scalingwithsystems.com. And you guys will get literally a one-on-one consultation with me to make sure you guys are implementing all of this.
Now, for context, you've done real estate as done for you service. You've done coaching programs, cryptocurrency, which I don't completely 100% understand, but it's a thing, right? You are just shy of doing $1 million a month cash collected, and you charge $4,000 an hour. And if somebody gets the ticket, not only do they have access to the entire event, but they get that one-on-one call with you. Is that correct?
That is 100% correct. Yeah, you summed it up.
Very cool. Good stuff. Ravi, it's always a pleasure. We're coming up on the tail end of it, but kind of in summary, what we talked about was like that 0 to 100K brain trash, right? It was like, oh, I need to master fulfillment. No, man, you need to get on phone calls with more clients. End of discussion, right? Do more prospecting, do more conversations, send more DMs. I don't care. Build out your cold emailing prospecting system. What we're now experimenting with now is like a niche agnostic prospecting system where you just have to change the verbiage. And it's like, yo, just give me a list. Let's go. Everybody's going to get a follow-up whether they like it or not.
I love that.
Right? And within, like we did the numbers, and in 1 hour, we can prospect 4,000 individual clients 3 times. I'm like, oh my God. Like the scammer in me is having a great time. And we're setting appointments from it. For my appointment guy, I'm like, this is beautiful. And that's prospecting, right? I don't have a single part of my brain that says, oh my God, but what about fulfillment anymore? It's prospecting first, like clients first. If your brain is saying, but I need to have the thing, that's your grandfather's economy. And maybe your brain won't let you get through it. So go on, have a good time, figure it out, but get back on prospecting. And it sounds like, Ravi, that's been the consistent theme from 0 to 100K a year, 100K a month, 100K a day. Prospecting all the way through, right?
Yeah, you had just nailed it. I love that grandfather economy line. I've never heard that before. But yeah, I mean, that's literally it. Most businesses today, you can figure out how to solve almost any problem. If you're a decent entrepreneur, you can figure out how to solve almost any problem through YouTube, a coaching program that you're in, asking somebody, Google, whatever else it is. And so your main issue should just be like, okay, then how do I get as many people as possible to solve problems for? And obviously you can systemize the problems that you go after. You can only solve one problem, whatever else it is. But the fear that most people have is that, what if I don't deliver results, right? If I have all these clients, okay. What if you don't deliver results? Like, it is okay. Like, you give someone their money back. You move forward. Like, if I were to sit here and tell you that in my advertising agency and Scaling with Systems, 100% of everybody has everything that they ever wanted they got inside of here, I would be lying to you, which people do online to get clients. But it doesn't always work out, guys. But as long as it works out more than 95% of the time after you figure things out, then you have a good business model, right? If it's not working 95% of the time, that's what's called a scammer. But the majority of the thing which you need to focus on is just prospecting and closing deals. And everybody says it, and then you're like, okay, good. And then you just go right back to your old thing. So remove these distractions from you, remove the stuff on your computer. Like, just ask yourself every single day, like, is this activity that I'm doing right now gonna make the future Ravi happy in 3 days, 3 months, and 3 years? And if it's like messing with a website design or on Instagram, the answer is probably no. If it's like doing hard stuff like building assets and doing prospecting, the answer is probably yes.
Absolutely love it. Well, ladies and gents, for everybody who's interested in getting a ticket, go to the link that Ravi mentioned, or a hashtag, give me a link, and Ravi or somebody that's on a team will PM you a link or something along those lines. We'll make sure you're taken care of. Get your ticket, have a good time. I will see you there. Ravi, I think that's the end of it. Catch you later.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Bye.